Hello everybody, Gary here. Well, we're going to get into our episodes right away, but I just want to let you know real quick here first that, when YouTube quit sending out notifications, I did find out a way where if I upload a video, I can make sure notification goes out to you. I didn't realize that, so I'm going to start doing that this week on this video. So if you can leave me a comment in the comment section below, just let me know if you got notification that this video was posted. The other thing is, notification has been going out for quite some time. And of course, we have over 30 videos in our playlist. So if you haven't been notified before, just go ahead and check the playlist because you didn't get notification on any of those. So there's probably a dozen or more lost treasure stories in there that you may not have seen. So if you go to our playlist, you can see those. Okay, it's time to have some fun.
Here's an introduction to all of our new visitors. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Lost Treasure Stories. Thanks for stopping by. We have hundreds of stories in our files from over 45 years of historical research. So if you like real, authentic, lost treasure stories, you're gonna love our channel, so go ahead and hit that little red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, so you don't miss any new episodes when they get posted. And as a gift from us, to you, as a new subscriber, we invite you to leave a comment below of the county and state that you live in, and we'll post a lost treasure story as close to you as possible. While we can't guarantee you anything, it's not unusual for us to post a requested story within 15 to 30 miles of the request. So go ahead and check out our Lost Treasure Stories playlist. We have several videos waiting for you to enjoy right now. This lost treasure story is a newspaper article out of Kerrville, Texas, October 1st, 1972, and reads, "Old-timers acquainted with Bandera Pass insist that packloads of gold bullion worth untold millions of dollars are buried in or near the pass. If the numerous scars, both old and new, in and around the hills of Bandera Pass do not necessarily attest to the seeming validity of this legend, they do indicate a strong popular belief in it. A group of Spaniards were passing through Bandera Pass some 150 years ago when they were attacked by a large band of Indians. Realizing that they were hopelessly outmanned, they buried their many packloads of bullion. The Indian attack was ruthless and relentless, and eventually all but one of the Spaniards had been massacred. Fortune did not favor Esteban, and he never returned to the waiting fortune. He grew old, and just before he died, Esteban revealed the secret of the buried treasure to his son, Juan, and another man. Juan and his companion made the necessary preparations, and before too long, they were on their way to the buried fortune. Very carefully did the men follow the directions that Esteban had given them. In fact, they reached the actual Bandera Pass area. The landmarks that Esteban had promised would be there were nowhere to be found. Watermarks indicated that the area had recently been flooded. Juan and his companions set about digging. Days of excavation soon turned into weeks, and still the fortune eluded them. Weeks became months, then the months lengthened into years. The prospectors were discouraged, but still they dug for treasure. Years passed and Juan and his partner grew old, but they continued to search. Juan became ill and then passed away. Not many months later, the rigors of the hill country wilderness claimed Juan's partner. Still buried somewhere in Bandera Pass lay the valuable bullion. This lost treasure story originated from a newspaper article of 1882, but the article is badly damaged and mostly not readable. The information in this video was found on the Wikipedia website after further research. This story is being read as it appears on their website. There is a link to the Wikipedia article in our video description box. Their webpage reads, "Among the tales of lawlessness in Gillette, Arizona is that of Henry Seymour. Seymour was the town's blacksmith who engaged in robbing the Wells Fargo stagecoach before it reached the town. In 1882, alone he held up 3 coaches and no one suspected Seymour because he would already be in his shop before the arrival of the stagecoach.
Mornin', Henry.
Oh, hi. I've just been working on these darn horseshoes all night. So if any stagecoaches got robbed last night, it wasn't me.
Did a stage get robbed last night, Henry?
I don't know anything about it. I'm just saying if a stage did get robbed, it couldn't have been me. I've been working really late every night here lately.
Look, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I mean, I got work to do. I'll probably be working all night tonight again. So if a stage gets robbed tomorrow night, I won't know anything about that one either, okay?
The robber, whose total amount in the 3 robberies added up to $68,000, became known as the Ghost Bandit. Normally, Seymour hid his loot after a robbery, however suspicions as to his activities as an outlaw came about when on one occasion he used some of the money from a robbery in a local saloon's poker game. Maricopa County Sheriff Lindley Orm sent Deputy Henry Garfias to investigate the situation. During his investigation, Garfias was told by witnesses that on the day of the last robbery they spotted Henry Seymour, the blacksmith, with a rifle under his arm along with several gunny sacks. Garfias suspected that Seymour was the Ghost Bandit and decided to set a trap. As soon as he found out that the next stagecoach was about to arrive in Gillette, Garfias hid close to the Agua Fria crossing and waited. As soon as he spotted Seymour, who was armed with a rifle, Garfias arrested him. Thus, Seymour, the Ghost Bandit, was finally caught when he attempted to rob his 4th stagecoach that year. He was tried in Maricopa County and sent to prison. Seymour never told anyone where he hid his treasure, and when he was released from prison he never returned to Gillette. After the mill was closed in 1880, and moved to Tip Top in 1884, the town was soon abandoned. Its post office had postmasters appointed up to October 1883, but it was discontinued in August 1887. What remained was a store and a stagecoach station and a population of 2. The stagecoach station was within the Black Canyon Wagon Road and Stage Route. The portion of the trail around Gillette and south of Prescott was surrounded by boulders and scrub. This portion made it easy for stagecoach robbers to hide and ambush stagecoaches, making the trail a dangerous one to travel on. This resulted in the Wells Fargo Express Company halt of shipments over the route. The stagecoach station remained open until 1912 when it also was abandoned. The Burfin Hotel was the largest structure in Gillette, and ruins of it, in a neglected cemetery, remain. This lost treasure story comes from a newspaper article out of Kermit, West Virginia. The date of the article is September 30th, 1941. A search has been made in vain for the buried hoard of the late Dennis Atkins, but the legend about his wealth still lives. Always frugal and a bachelor until the last few years of his life, Merchant Atkins, according to stories that persisted for years, converted his savings into gold and buried the coin near the store. The stories were so widely circulated and generally believed that the executor of the estate ordered a search be made. Flooring was removed in the store and living quarters adjoining it, and holes were dug in the earth until rock was reached, but no treasure was forthcoming.
Okay, don't go away yet. Now it's time for our special Lost Treasure Found part of the episode. Normally we have 1 Lost Treasure Found story, but it's a little special this week. We're going to have 3 Lost Treasure Found stories. I hope you enjoy.
We're going to read a lost treasure found story that appeared in a newspaper article October 9th, 1926 in Kentucky. The industry of a hen and her breed of chicks in Southdown, Kentucky has solved the mystery of 62 years standing, that of what became of a pot of gold buried by a man who hid his ready cash as he entered the Civil War in 1864. The hen and her baby chickens invaded the garden of Mrs. Rebecca Addington. They scratched over a considerable area of the garden and displaced various vegetables, until Mrs. Addington saw them and hurried to drive them out. As Mrs. Addington approached the fleeing chickens, she saw something shining just where the scratching had been most energetic. The shining thing was a $5 gold piece. Mrs. Addington procured a sharp stick and began scratching. After considerable work, she uncovered a pot of gold and silver coins. Her grandfather, John Addington, had buried the money there in 1864, just as the war's call came to him. Some of the coins had fallen out of the pot, and it was one of these that the chickens scratched up, disclosing the secret of the garden. About $1,600 was contained in the treasure pot. John Addington, after burying the money, failed to reveal the hiding place to his family, in the hurry of preparing to go to war. He never returned, having died a prisoner. The family knew the grandfather had secreted a considerable sum, and succeeding generations had made vain efforts to find it, searching the ancestral grounds. But where the human beings failed, the chickens made good. It is believed that $1,600 comprises all that John Addington planted, but it is expected that a more careful search will be made of the premises, and hope there may be more turned up. This lost treasure, found, story is from a newspaper article of June 6, 1907 out of Milan, Tennessee, and it reads: Money buried since the Civil War has been unearthed by the prong of a poor man's plow, and Bob Phillips, who for years has led the life of a simple planter, now finds himself with more gold than he ever dreamed of, as a result of stopping to inspect the contents of an old pewter pot turned up with the sod that he was plowing. $10,000 in Confederate script securely wrapped around gold coin amounting to nearly $3,000 was a small fortune found by Phillips in his field, and the discovery has led to more searching for hidden treasure thought to have been buried by people during the war. This lost treasure, found, story is out of Eureka, Illinois, dated October 3, 1942. So let's read it together here. Henry Seymour, 65-year-old wealthy recluse, often voiced his mistrust in banks, with a scorn for courts, judges, and lawyers. Before his death last October, he had written in his will that no lawyer, no judge, no court is to have anything to do with my property. The principal matter of litigation in the Woodford County Circuit Court this week was Seymour's buried fortune of $10,000, and his heirs and their counsel are disputing whether some of the money he had hoarded has disappeared. Seymour's will, scribbled in pencil on the back of a 1937 calendar, was found by relatives after his death last October 24. He also had written directions for finding his life savings. The will named 3 of his nephews to take spades and dig under a hen house all at once, so there will be no crooked work. They followed directions and found approximately $7,000 in 8 fruit jars. In one jar was $6,400 in bills. Each of the 7 others contained 25 and 50-cent pieces, amounting to between $175 and $200 each. The paper money was for 8 nieces and nephews, children of his deceased brother John. The silver was for his 2 sisters. A suit for an accounting of Seymour's property was filed by his sister, Mrs. Franny Beckman, of North Dakota, against her sister, Mrs. Lena Upts, a farm wife of near Monunk, Illinois. Mrs. Beckman asked that her sister be forced to give the accounting of their brother's property, claiming he had more money than has been disclosed. She also said among the assets allegedly missing was an old coin collection once appraised at $20,000. Hearing in the case was continued by Judge Ed Robeson to allow time for dispositions to be taken from Mrs. Beckman.
Okay, everybody, that wraps up this week's episode, and I hope you enjoyed them. I hope to have you back on the next episode.